Heading into the 2020-2021 NHL season, there's plenty anticipation for the new kids in town. From Alexei Lafreniere to Kirill Kaprizov, expectations are high, and for good reason. But as star-studded as next season's Calder race is made out to be, it overshadows the dozens of fellow rookies who may just have an impact that plenty didn't expect. Hello guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we will be taking a look at 10 under the radar rookies that we should all be either keeping tabs on or really paying much attention to in the 2020-2021 season, because these are all rookies that are expected to make either a fairly or very significant splash with their respective clubs coming into their rookie years versus say the higher tier rookies that are expected to make a significant splash and are all going to be in the Calder race next year more than likely. So the guys I'll be discussing with you today aren't necessarily going to be in the Calder race, but some of them very well may be. So that's another good reason to break these guys down if you don't have as much familiarity on them or what the expectation is for them going into their rookie year next year. But also take into account, guys, there's certain guys that simply won't be mentioned because there's so many rookies that are going to hit the NHL next year. A lot of great young talent for sure. But a lot of these guys aren't incorporated in today's video because one, it's just too uncertain as to the type of impact they're going to have, mainly because of are they even going to be coming to North America or not? Are they even going to be in the NHL next season? And if they are, what kind of role are they going to have on their respective clubs? If they're just on the bottom, if they're getting bottom feeder minutes on that fourth line or the bottom pairing defense with literally little to no ice time, then odds are I'm not going to incorporate them in this video if we know that for certain. But outside of that, you can expect a lot of honorable mentions at the end of this video as well, because there's so many great rookies to discuss. And as always, guys, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. If you end up enjoying this kind of hockey content, let's get to 3,000 subscribers. We've been doing great. I have all of you to thank for it. So seriously, thank you all so much again. It means a lot. Share the video with your friends. Make sure to check out other videos at the end of this if you enjoy this kind of prospect/rookie talk. But without further ado, guys, let's get right into this video. Starting off with the Calgary Flames 2017 first round pick, we have left-handed defenseman Yuso Valimaki. At 6'2", 212 pounds, the 22-year-old Valimaki has done a great job as a dynamic puck-moving defenseman that is surely ready to make that next jump as an NHL regular, as we have seen the Calgary Flames lose some significant defensemen via free agency with TJ Brodie and Travis Hamonic, to name a few, and even with bringing in guys like Chris Tanev, all the opportunities now there for Valimaki to make quite the splash at the NHL level. He has 19 points in 19 games at the time of recording this, including 2 goals and 17 assists, currently on loan in Liga for the 2020 and 2021 season. In 24 games played back in the 2018-2019 season, Valimaki had a total of 3 points, including 1 goal and 2 assists, and the AHL as well in 20 games played at 14 points, including 4 goals and 10 assists. Valimaki missed the entirety of the 2019-2020 season dealing with injury, but he's fully ready to bounce back and is looking fantastic in his stint thus far playing in Liga. Talk about the next great puck-moving defenseman to happen on the blue line for the Calgary Flames. That is definitely going to be Valimaki. He's going to really be the next heir apparent, if you will, to a guy like Mark Giordano, their longtime captain. While Mark is still expected to have an impact next year, Valimaki is fully ready to take that next jump to have an impact both 5-on-5 and on the power play as a power play quarterback, and very well could be splitting time with a guy like Giordano or whoever it's going to be in regards to the special teams. But truly a fantastic two-way defenseman that has taken a little bit longer than expected to develop, but that was mainly in part because of his injury that he sustained going into last season. So all in all, Valimaki is expected to make quite the splash and very well could be in some Calder voting should he get significant ice time, and at this rate, it wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. Next up, we have Hinoola, the first round pick back just in 2019, a year ago by the Winnipeg Jets, defenseman that saw himself already having a cup of coffee in the NHL out of his draft year. The 5'11", 178-pound 19-year-old had a very strong season last year, splitting time between the minors and also in the AHL, and while he did seem a little rushed at first to hit the NHL level, that was mainly because of the lack of depth that the Winnipeg Jets had, losing 4 key defensemen going into the 2019-2020 season, but all in all, still looked very impressive in his short stint and is ready to be an NHL regular heading into the 2020-2021 season. Currently playing in loan in Liga for the 2020-2021 season as of now, he has 14 points in 19 games, including 1 goal and 13 assists. The year prior, he had 5 points in his short stint in the AHL, in which I saw his first game, or at least one of his first games, because that was at the New York Rangers home opener last year when they played the Jets. I do believe Hinoola was playing, and he did look solid, but he had 5 points in 8 games, including 1 goal and 4 assists. In the AHL, he had 1 assist for 1 point in 3 games, and also in the Liga, in 29 games played, he had 0 goals for 7 assists and total 7 points. Hinoola is such a mature defenseman for his age, is really looking to make an impact in the defense for the Winnipeg Jets next season. As we all know, the defensive woes that they've had really since they lost all those key defensemen just over a year ago, but Hinoola definitely has the time and the right place to be a significant part for the Jets, not both 5-on-5 but on special teams. This is another fantastic two-way moving puck moving defenseman that can contribute both 5-on-5 and on special teams, is a really sound skater, has a strong transition game, and really can make the impact and benefit the Jets greatly in either their top 4 defense or at least their top 6, at least when it comes to their defense. I really believe he's going to take that next jump and be a consistent NHLer next year and really be quite the splash for a great offense in front of him as it is. So if he does in fact get some power play time, I think it's really going to bode well and take some relief off the shoulders of guys, whether it's like Pionk or Morrissey, whatever they're going to use him. I really think he's going to thrive, and he's been impressive to say the least as a 19-year-old that already has 8 games under his belt in the NHL. Next up, we have 2017 second round pick by the Ottawa Senators in Alex Formenton. The 6'3", 190-pound, 21-year-old left winger has truly been phenomenal playing in pro hockey this past year. In his first full season in the AHL, he lit it up and finds himself in a unique spot now where, while there are plenty of great prospects for the Ottawa Senators going into next season, with guys like Tim Stützle and Josh Norris obviously leading the way, you have a guy like Alex Formenton who may get overshadowed just over these couple rookies and throughout the NHL for that matter, and I firmly believe he's ready to take that next jump to be an NHL regular, or at least close to, and add Drake Batherson into that list too of great, fantastic prospects. But overall, I think when it comes to a guy like Alex Formenton, he will take that next jump and have a strong chance of cracking the top 9 for the Senators. Formenton put up 53 points in just 61 games played this past season, the 1920 season, going 27 goals and 26 assists. The year prior, playing his final season in the OHL, he racked up 34 points in just 31 games, so over a point per game at 13 goals and 21 assists, and also had a cup of coffee in the AHL, including in 9 games played, he had 1 goal for 0 assists for just 1 point. Formenton is honestly one of my biggest sleeper rookies going into next season, because while there is no guarantee if he will in fact be in the Ottawa Senators lineup, all of the opportunity is there for him to have a fantastic camp, and if he does, he's definitely going to crack in that bottom 6. I would assume maybe on that third line, who knows, could be possibly aside fellow rookies, both Josh Norris and a guy like Drake Batherson. Time will tell, but those 2 guys definitely stand out to me, those 3 rookies for the Ottawa Senators. Obviously, I can't wait to see what they're all going to do as NHL regulars sooner rather than later, but Formenton, between his elite speed that is truly fantastic at the size of 6'3", very reminiscent of Chris Kreider, if you will, in that aspect, taking things along the boards or down the middle. He creates breakaways almost on a nightly basis and has a very strong playmaking and wrist shot to back it up as well. He's a goal scorer, he's great 5-on-5 and on special teams, and his speed is truly lights out, will leave the defenders truly in ooh and ah as he blows past them before a goal is eventually going to happen. But smooth hands as well, just a solid overall forward that has had steady progression since being drafted back in 2017. I think he's going to be one of the biggest sleepers out of all the rookies next season should he break out camp. So if he does, expect a lot from Formenton. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people for the Senators, especially next season. Next up, we have Liam Foudy, originally drafted in the first round back in 2018 by the Columbus Blue Jackets. The centerman at 20 years of age at 6'2", 182 pounds, has looked strong during his final year in juniors and also taking that next step to the NHL level, in which he had a cup of coffee with the team. This past season, Foudy had a total of 28 goals, 40 assists for 68 points in just around 45 games in his final year in the OHL, and then took that next step to having a cup of coffee, as I mentioned, including 2 games played in the regular season with the Columbus Blue Jackets, in which he had 1 assist for 1 point, and then also had 10 games played between the qualifying round and playoffs this past year when the bubble started, in which he had 2 points as well, including 1 goal and 1 assist. In the 18-19 season, Foudy also had 68 points, but in far more games at 62, including 36 goals and 32 assists. Foudy is another fantastic skater similar to Formenton in that aspect, with his overall speed and acceleration, and is strong in the offensive zone. He can be hard-nosed in front of the net, he can be hard-nosed in the corners as well, takes advantage of his size, but definitely can have more physicality to his game, and his defensive game is lacking slightly, but it is something that he will continue to work on, and I fully expect will take major strides over this next season, as he should be an NHL regular with the Blue Jackets. When you look at what he's been doing with the Blue Jackets, not just in his playoff stint, but all of his development in his his final year of juniors, we have seen tremendous growth in both his goal scoring and playmaking ability, and is truly ready, in my opinion, for a Columbus Blue Jackets team that does lack offensive depth to have that spot in that top 6, that top 9, and truly thrive with some other young guns in that lineup too, whether it's Pierre-Luc Dubois leading the way currently, or some other younger names as well, between Oliver Bjorkstrand or even Alex Texier. There are plenty of young options for the Blue Jackets going forward, and I fully expect Foudy to be a crucial part to their development, as they are still in this win now stage, but at the same time still could make some additions to that lineup to take them over the hump to that next level. Next up, we have another centerman drafted in the first round, but this time in 2017 and by the Philadelphia Flyers, and Morgan Frost. The 5'11", 170-pound centerman saw major strides in his game as well over this past year between the AHL level and the NHL level, where he had just around 20 games played at the NHL level, and it looks like he will be a crucial part to the Flyers in their success in this win-now stage as part of their top 9 next season. This past year, Frost had 29 points in 41 games playing in the AHL, including 13 goals and 16 assists, and also in the NHL had 7 points in 20 games played, including 2 goals and 5 assists. In his final year in juniors playing the OHL, he put up staggering numbers in the 18-19 season, including 109 points in just 58 games played, including 37 goals and 72 assists. Now, I can tell you personally, I had the privilege of seeing Frost play for an AHL game last year between the Phantoms and the Tampa Bay affiliate, which I believe is the Crunch, the Syracuse Crunch, and Frost had 2 goals that game, and he was by far the best player on the ice. Truly remarkable, truly ready to be in the AHL, which led him to playing 20 games already at the AHL level this past season. But a strong skater with really nifty hands and is very deceptive into that offensive zone as well. While he isn't necessarily bigger stature and body, which has led to his lack of development in regards to being an NHL regular at this point in time, all the indication is that he's going to really make that next step going into the lineup for the Flyers next year, and there's a strong possibility he will for sure be a lock, at least on that third line, and could find himself moving up into that top 6 rather quickly into the 2020-2021 season. A very agile and nimble skater, nothing too overly flashy, but definitely can turn on the skates and get that motor going when needed, and truly fantastic both 5-on-5 and special teams. He has a great hockey IQ overall, very strong vision for his playmaking, and looks like a guy that is going to help kind of balance some veteran leadership and youth in this lineup. We've already seen that case with Joel Farabee having roughly half a season with the Flyers this past year, and now it's time for Morgan Frost to take that next step, and I truly believe he will. And what a team with a star-studded offense in the Flyers, you can really expect Morgan Frost to have that type of great season to at least put him in the Calder nomination to an extent. We'll see how far he can get there, if at all, but if there's any guys I'm banking on as basically under the radar type player to maybe be in that discussion, I would definitely put Frost towards the top of that list. Next up, we have another former first round pick, but in 2018 and by the Florida Panthers, and left winger Gregory Denisenko. The 5'10", 180-pound left winger with a right-hand shot, which really can be lethal in the left dot, both 5-on-5 and on the power play when he gets that shot off. He has really been fantastic, in my opinion, in a very limited role in the KHL these past couple of years. Saw some great strides in his game this past year, and has since then signed his ELC, so he's definitely going to be competing for a spot in the lineup for the Panthers. And given the amount of guys that they lost in free agency this year, and Danov and soon to be Hoffman more than likely, there is a very strong case to be had with Denisenko signing his ELC in part for a roster spot secured. So time will tell, but I fully expect him to be in that top 9 to start the 2020-2021 season. In 38 games played this past year in the KHL, Denisenko racked up 12 points, including 6 goals and 6 assists, which really isn't bad at all when you looked at the limited role he was in with a very star-studded team in front of him. And the year prior in the 18-19 season had himself 6 points in 25 games played, including 4 goals and 2 assists. Truly a fantastic forward with some high-end skill that could find himself sooner rather than later in the top 6, maybe throughout the next season for, yes, the Florida Panthers. And I know we have Owen Tippett to discuss as well. I don't have him on this list, as I think Owen Tippett is definitely more of a name that people tend to know when it comes to the Panthers and the prospects. At least for me, when I think of their prospects right away, Owen Tippett comes to mind more than anyone else. So Gregory Denisenko, I think, gets overshadowed a little bit when not just playing for the Panthers, but with Tippett and some other names in front of him, now Lundell as well. But he's definitely going to make a strong argument to be in this lineup and have a crucial part to their success as another team that, while they have made some moves with the new GM and Bill Zito, among other things, they're in a win now stage and they have a core that can get it done. So hopefully for their sake, they can really take that next level. And in doing so, Gregory Denisenko should help lead the way. Between both 5-on-5 and special teams, he has a wicked shot, can really help out any which way in that offensive zone, has some silky hands as well that will really be taken advantage of as he enters his prime throughout the next couple years. I think when it comes to a development like Denisenko, there is some risk, obviously. His defensive game is lacking, but at the same time, you're really not looking for that too much when you have a guy of his caliber. You're looking for the playmaking, that true offensive ability that could help out tremendously with a winger depth that isn't nearly as strong after losing two of the better wingers in the entire NHL, both Danov and Hoffman. Given the right opportunity and hoping that he has a strong camp, I fully expect Denisenko to make quite the splash for the Panthers next season with his kind of rejuvenized offense and defense to an extent, if you will, with the acquisitions that Bill Zito has done in this first offseason as GM. I really believe Denisenko is going to help take them to that next step and be a guy that could very well find himself in the Calder race, either him or Tippett. I think one of those guys can definitely be in there if they're given the right opportunities. They're both great goal scorers. Tippett may believe is a better goal scorer, and that's a perfectly fine argument. But when it comes to point production, I'm not sure who's going to be higher, but Denisenko definitely deserves more love and more attention because he's one of these sneaky wingers that could find himself in some great point production in his rookie year. Next up, we have a second round 2019 draft pick by the Vancouver Canucks that very well could find himself already in the NHL, and that is winger Niels Hoglander. At 5'8", 183 pounds, the smaller statured left winger at 19 years of age for the Vancouver Canucks, and Niels Hoglander has really not let his size phase him by any stretch of the imagination, and he looks like he very well could have an impact with the Vancouver Canucks next season when, while nothing is definite, the reports have indicated that Hoglander, if he does not crack the team out of camp, then he will simply go back to the SHL where he's been playing. I really believe that there's a strong chance he will not just crack this roster, but surprise so many people and have quite the impact in his rookie season. To start off the 2020-2021 season in the SHL thus far, Hoglander has 10 points in just 17 games, including 3 goals and 7 assists. And also the year before that, this past year in the 1920 season, he had 16 points in 41 games played, including 9 goals and 7 assists. Truly such an underrated talent, even in the Vancouver Canucks prospect pool, because when you think of their top prospect, you think of Vasily Podkolzin, and for good reason. But when you see a guy like Hoglander, I really don't think he's that far off, and I think out of all of them, he's one of, if not the most NHL ready, even coming out of Europe, because what Hoglander has done in the SHL has been phenomenal against men as a teenager. Truly, even with himself being undersized, has some nifty hands that really can be dynamic in the offensive zone, both 5-on-5 and on special teams, has a strong shot when needed as well, but his playmaking and vision is truly superb. And just imagine himself possibly alongside Elias Pettersson one day. That would be phenomenal. So I think all the potential's there for Vancouver, even with losing guys like Tyler Toffoli, among others. There is kind of a spot, especially in that bottom 6. You can definitely make the argument that Hoglander won't just do well in camp, but he'll make that roster and crack that third line. I think that is a strong possibility. If not the top 6, definitely that third line would be a great spot for him with all the guys that they have lost in this year's free agency and beyond. I think the time is now for Niels Hoglander, which may very well be sooner than one would have originally expected. Hoglander is really another one of these guys that, in my mind, if I had to pick guys as kind of a dark horse to go for the Calder, should they be given the right opportunities, having some power play time, and also being in that top 9, I think Hoglander definitely fits that. I'm not saying he's going to win it, I'm not even saying he's going to be a nominee, but I'm saying if there are some guys just off the top of my head that I would consider should they be given the right opportunities, Hoglander is definitely up there as well. A fantastic talent, so entertaining as well, and I'm really excited to see what he's going to do with Vancouver next season. Next up, we have the only player on this list who, 1, wasn't drafted, and 2, was at the age of 24 years old, and that is centerman P.S. Suitor. Suitor signed with the Blackhawks this past offseason, if you guys don't remember, and it looks like he has a strong chance to not just have a somewhat impact, but a significant impact for the Blackhawks, as they're in this rebuild stage now, but they're looking for guys on cheaper contracts. They've done this in the past with guys like Dominik Kubalik, and look how well they're favoring there, with Kubalik looking like a very strong goal scorer in the NHL today after having a 30-goal campaign this past year. But now you bring Suitor in the mix, he's going to have a strong chance to be in that top 6 and possibly play alongside Patrick Kane for a bulk of the time, so we could see a very reminiscent situation where Suitor basically follows in Kubalik in that aspect. At 5'11", 170 pounds, Suitor had a really strong and truly a breakout year this past year in the 2019-2020 season, playing in the Swiss League. But before we get there, to start off the 2020-2021 season, currently playing on loan in Switzerland still, he has 4 points in 4 games, including 1 goal and 3 assists. This past season, however, is where he really turned it on, with 53 points in just 50 games, including 3 goals and 23 assists. Suitor knows what it's like to play against men. He's played 5 seasons already in the Swiss league, which granted isn't as strong as say some of the other men's leagues in Europe, but is still impressive nonetheless. And he saw the best numbers by far in the 2019-2020 season when it came to his goal scoring. The year before that, in the 18-19 season, he only had 9 goals. So he's kind of been up and down when it comes to his point production, where he gets it from, whether it's his goal scoring or his playmaking. But yeah, his best season to date this past year, and truly looks like he can be promising for the Blackhawks. Suitor is another one of these forwards that has a decent two-way game as it is, has a strong nose for the net as well, will really help you out any which way in that offensive zone. Between getting the dirty areas, both in the crease and in the corners, he'll really do it all, and has some strong playmaking ability too. And while he isn't necessarily the bigger stature guy as well, I don't think it's going to favor him much worse than what it has thus far in his career. I think he's going to help take advantage of his situation. Now being with the Blackhawks, being a seasoned guy at 24 years of age, he's seen some great pro hockey in his career already. Now it's about taking that next step. He's going to be in the lineup for the Blackhawks and is fully expected to be in that top 9, if not top 6 for sure, and is going to be getting some power play time as well. All the opportunities are going to really be there for Suitor. He just needs to go there and take it. So assuming that he does that, he's another dark horse guy, very similar to Kubalik this past year. No one expected Kubalik to be in the running for the Calder, and yet here we are. And I think we're going to see something fairly similar to Suitor, as long as he's in the right given the right opportunities in the right situations, playing along some great talents. And whether it's a guy like DeBrincat, Patrick Kane, whoever it's going to be, I think he's going to thrive and truly take full advantage of the opportunities given to him. Next up, we have former first-round pick in 2017 by the Nashville Predators, and that is right winger with the left-handed shot in Eeli Tolvanen. At 5'11", 181 pounds, the right winger at 21 years of age has seen some slight regression in his development since being drafted. Really hasn't lived up to the hype, if you will, since everything that was so coveted with him. Because I don't know about you guys, but I remember when Tolvanen first came out of his draft, and for the first couple of years, he was highly coveted as a key prospect in the NHL. That obviously isn't the case anymore, but there is still that great potential to be a dynamic goal-scoring top 6 forward. Currently playing on loan in the KHL to start off the 2020-2021 season, Tolvanen has 10 points in 20 games, including 4 goals and 6 assists. The year prior, he had 36 points in 63 games, including 21 goals and 15 assists in the AHL, and also had a cup of coffee in the NHL, where he had 4 games played in which he had 2 points, including 1 goal and 1 assist. The goal scoring has always been there for a guy like Eeli Tolvanen. It's just been on a consistent basis that has been worrying at times when he first made the jump to North America. Similar to Christian Vesalainen in certain senses, because I know that they've been compared, not so much as a player, but just similar stories in development. But Tolvanen is really a guy that has that potential to be a top 6 winger with some great goal scoring ability as a right winger with a left-handed shot. So that means both on 5-on-5 and on the power play, you can looking to snipe it, whether it's a clap bomb or just sniping or wristing it in that right dot and making great things happen both 5-on-5 and on special teams. Has some great vision, some dynamic speed as well, and really could help kind of blossom this Nashville team that isn't a win now stage still, but has seen some regression over these past couple years. If there's anything to really help them spark things up to kind of find a new factor in the offense, it could be a guy like Tolvanen. He has all the potential in the world. He's going to be given some great opportunities in that top 6, in that top 9 at least, and I fully expect him to thrive given all the opportunities that will be presented his way. And next up, we have second round pick in 2018 by the St. Louis Blues, a guy that really doesn't get much attention at all, and I didn't even have a strong knowledge about him until these past couple months, but what a fantastic talent he has turned out to be, and that is defenseman Scott Pronovich. And I might be saying his name wrong, it might be Pronovich, I'm not sure. At 5'9", 164 pounds, the 22-year-old left-handed defenseman has seen tremendous growth in his game, currently playing in college these past couple years with the University of Minnesota Duluth. This past season, Scott put up 40 points in just 34 games, including 6 goals and 34 assists, and the year prior in the 18-19 season had himself 29 points in 39 games, including 3 goals and 26 assists. Truly a high-flying, puck-moving offensive defenseman into that offensive zone as a power play quarterback, no doubt in my mind, is going to find himself really in the running to not just make the pro hockey, but be in the NHL as soon as next season. If you look at the defense currently for the St. Louis Blues, the bottom pair, if you look at it right now, would be maybe a Vince Dunn and a Robert Bortuzzo. Vince Dunn still has to get signed because I don't believe he has, but assuming that even Dunn stays in place, Bortuzzo has been a fringe NHLer for these past couple of years especially, so you bring Pronovich, he has a strong camp, and I truly believe he will. He could very well crack in that bottom pair and still get some significant time as one of the power play guys for sure, especially with Alex Pietrangelo Danilo out of the picture, now their former captain. Now you bring Pronovich in, and I really think you have some great dynamic puck-moving defensemen, not just with himself, but then you have obviously Colin Parayko, you have Torrey Krug, you have even Justin Falk to an extent. You have a lot of great puck movers, but I think Scott would be a prime fit situation with a great team in a win-now stage to really thrive. And he reminds me in a lot of aspects of his game, not so much defensively, but just that offensive prowess coming out of college. As a Rangers fan, and Adam Fox, to see what he can do coming right out of college, I think Scott really won't spend much of any time in the AHL, and between his playmaking and his overall vision into that offensive zone and a decent transition game, things are only going to get better for him in a great team with a great type of coaching staff under Craig Berube. And that's going to conclude this video, guys. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Again, I could talk about so many more guys than 10, so I just broke down 10 for you today, but expect plenty more rookies to be in discussion as really under the radar next season, but might have some more uncertainties as to how they're going to be implemented in the lineup, if at all. Guys like Jack Studnicka come to mind for the Boston Bruins, Christian Vesalainen again for the Winnipeg Jets, Connor McMichael for the Washington Capitals, Philip Tomasino for the Nashville Predators, Barrett Hayden definitely is a guy to consider as well. I just couldn't get him in this video, but another perfect argument to be had. We're just another great under the radar type rookie. And then you go further, Olli Juolevi or Jack Rathbone, at least one of them from the Vancouver Canucks. Probably Juolevi at this point in time, or Rathbone might not be far behind, we'll see. Then you have Merkley from the San Jose Sharks, another strong, great puck moving defenseman. We'll just see if he can crack that lineup and how much opportunity would he have with Burns and Erik Karlsson in front of him. And then one of Keandre Miller and Tarmo Ronanen for the New York Rangers defense. We'll see which one gets more ice time, if any, next year. And then also Jake Bean for the Carolina Hurricanes, just to name a few guys that are going under the radar. If you're wondering why to incorporate some other players, it is mainly because in my mind, I feel that they aren't as under the radar, that people have a good idea as to who they are for the most part. Like take Evan Bouchard just as an example for the Edmonton Oilers. I don't think he's that under the radar if he has a strong rookie season next year, and I don't think you should believe that way either, but that's just my personal opinion, so I want to know your thoughts in the comments below. As always, guys, make sure to hit like and subscribe if you enjoy this kind of hockey content, and also make sure to share it with your friends if you think that they will enjoy them as well. But thank you all so much, guys. Stay tuned for more great hockey content going forward, and I'll be back real soon.